It's not every day that a brand new Pulsar goes on sale. In fact, the last time that happened was about 10 years ago. But today is a special day. There's a brand new Pulsar 250. In fact, there are two of them. This is the Pulsar 250, the N250, and that is the Pulsar F250. We will get to that bike in a bit. Let's start talking about this one. So when we say brand new, everything is new. New chassis, it's a tubular steel frame, new engine, 249cc. But before we go there, let's talk about the styling. It is quite familiar, but it's also very fresh. On the N, you've got basically LED projector lights on both bikes. The N has running lights like this. There's a different design on the F, which I'll show you in a bit. Both bikes get a very nice new instrument console. Bajaj calls it the infinity display because there's no visible bezels really. Very neat, but also old school. I mean, we all cry for a lovely rev counter, an analog rev counter. This bike has it with a digital section. There's more information in the digital section. You get a gear position indicator, you get fuel consumption, and of course speed. So that is nice to see. Move back a little bit, you'll see there's new switch gear. The switch gear itself is relatively similar, but there's little nice detailing touches, and Pulsar started this years ago and they continue it now. It is backlit switch gear. The N250 gets a one-piece handlebar because this is effectively a naked bike. It doesn't get clip-ons. The F250 does get clip-ons. We will show you that in a bit. Along the side, it's more familiar to the NS, with these extensions out here. Handsome motorcycle, looks like a fresh motorcycle, but immediately identifiable. Bajaj has used made clever use of the plastic paneling here. This is not the frame like you would get in the NS 200. That's a perimeter frame. This is a tubular steel frame. In that frame is a monoshock suspension. The monoshock is a first on a standard Pulsar. The NSs have a monoshock, but the standard Pulsar, this is the first time it gets it. Over to this side, there's a really nicely designed exhaust. I like the look of that. It's neat, it's small. A majority of the emission stuff is in here, hidden away from view, and this looks quite nice. You've got a double-sided rear hugger. I think they've taken lessons from the old NSs. This should be more stable, stronger. 130 section front rear tire, which is the same as the NS. Enough grip, enough performance, and not overtly fat, which will compromise on things like agility and fuel efficiency. This is an MRF Nilo Grip Zapper tire, same as the F250. They're good tires, they should be perfectly fine for this application. Now let's talk about this. That is a brand new air-cooled 2-valve engine, 249cc. So no fanciness, no liquid cooling, no 4-valve head, no DOHC, it's an SOHC engine, and a 5-speed gearbox. Now, Bajaj says they know their Pulsar customer really well. The Pulsar customer wants a torque-driven experience. They don't want a very high-revving, high-power performance, which the NS 200 offers. This bike will be all about the torque. And customers in the segment seem to like a 5-speed transmission, so that's what they've stuck with. We'll have to see how it rides, but for now, it looks fairly good on paper. It looks like the Pulsar brand, but taken forward to the next generation. Before I forget, bigger brakes, 300mm disc. I'm not sure what this brand of brakes are. We'll have to find out from Bajaj. It's not bi-brake clearly. Effectively, that is the N250. And now let's go over to the F250. And this is the 250F. Very similar on paper to that bike, but obviously the difference is in the visuals. It's sort of like an amalgamation of the Adventure AS200, if you remember that bike, and the current Pulsar 220F. And 220 fans will be happy to see that these mirrors can be folded in. The face has different running lights, sort of like an inverted Nike tick, but the actual headlamp unit is the same. Nice big windscreen here. We'll have to see how it runs out on the road. Should be good wind protection. We are riding this bike soon. Our reviews are on embargo till the 11th of November, so you'll have to wait. Beyond that, the rest of the bike is largely the same. Look like large, spacious seats, nicely designed. In terms of the riding positions, there's very little to distinguish between both bikes, despite the fact that one has clip-ons and one has a handlebar. They're both quite upright, slight sportiness, feet are slightly rear set, but nothing extreme, and they should be comfortable. The seat height is also at a very comfortable 795mm. However, both these bikes are on the heavy side for the segment, with the N250 weighing 162 kilos and the F250 weighing 164 kilos. We haven't talked about the price. Bajaj has started prices at 1.38 lakhs for the naked bike and 1.40 for this one. That puts it slightly above the Yamaha FZ25, about 5 to 7,000 rupees more than the Pulsar 220. And for what all this bike has to offer on paper, I think that's a very fair asking price. What it's like on the road, you're gonna have to wait for our full review.